Welcome to yet another episode of Vet Talk with Hill. This is a show I created to sit down with military veterans to learn about their life before, during, and after the service. I'm your host, Hill Pluvios, United States Marine Corps veteran, and today I have one of my good friends with me, Gunnery Sergeant Feagin. I call him Gunnery Sergeant Feagin because that's my guy. We all know what it takes to be a gunny in the Marine Corps. I watched his step from when he was a sergeant to now all the way to a gunny, because when I was joining the Marine Corps, one of the station that I called to be recruited for the Marine Corps was his station. Although he wasn't my immediate recruiter, it felt like he was my immediate recruiter because we clicked and we kept in touch over the years. And today I have with me my man. Welcome, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. You know, I just want to thank you for having me, man.
Man, thank you for being. You made me a Marine. You and your whole clique made me a Marine. You guys, before we get into the whole process of the Marine, I want to know about your life before you even step foot on the Marine Corps. Tell me about your life.
Well, growing up as a kid, I grew up in Brooklyn and
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York, Bed-Stuy, and in the beginning, like I knew I wanted to go into the military. It was just always a passion of mine, and I was just, I went to Brooklyn Tech High School, which is a very good school. A lot of the kids that go to Brooklyn Tech normally end up going to college, because it paves the way for college. But no, not me. I knew right away I want to be a Marine. And so, when I turned 17, I told my mom, I said, listen, you got to sign the papers, you got to sign me up. I need parental consent, and she was terrified. She didn't want me to do it. But she ended up signing it, and I ended up joining.
At 17?
At 17, and
Nice.
The rest was history.
Nice. So what was your household like? Like growing up in Brooklyn, you're going to Brooklyn Tech, a really good high school that preps you for college, and you say you went to your mother to sign. What was the household like? What was it like for you as a kid growing up?
Well, for me, it was very interesting. It was myself, my mother, my stepdad, my older sister, which is older by 1 year, and then I have a younger sister, which is younger by 2 years. So it was the three of us, growing up and being that close together, you know what I mean? It's just, how it is when you got a bunch of siblings or whatever, but we got along well. My background, my mom's Cuban, my father's Italian, so, a lot of good cooking going on in the household, But we very close-knit family. My mom, she was a nurse, so she took care of us, man. I mean, she raised us. She raised us well, and
so I'm not wrong when I call you Cuban links.
No,
not only you look like them, you part Cuban.
Part Cuban.
So I'm not wrong for calling you Cuban links.
Not at all. Not at all. I got that all the way growing up as a kid. And, while being in the Marine Corps, man. People call me Cuban Links, especially as a recruiter.
Yeah. Because that's when I met you. I was like, yo, this is Cuban Links right here, man.
Right.
So, 17, your mother signs off on the paper. What do you do? What did you get recruited out of?
I ended up getting recruited out of Brooklyn, Flatbush, the Flatbush station. So I brought the recruiter home. We sat down. And the recruiter, he's talking to my mom.
You say you brought the recruiter home. It sounds like you had a date with the recruiter. Now you have to introduce him to the parents.
I did because she had a lot of questions, man, and I was just like, Mom, please don't screw this up. Like, I don't want you to get my recruiter nervous. Like, just sign the paper, let me go, whatever. And she was like, no, I just want to talk to him, whatever. So he came over. Obviously he was a Marine, he wasn't nervous. My mom made dinner, whatever. We sat down, he explained everything. He put her at ease, she felt comfortable, and she was, she was okay, although she was nervous. But I gotta tell you, man, listen, the day I graduated boot camp, when she saw me walking across that parade deck, listen, she was the happiest little Cuban lady in the world, man.
Wow.
Yeah, she was.
Wow.
Proud of joy, brother.
Wow.
Proud of joy.
You talk about graduating boot camp. Can you walk me through the process? Do you remember the process of how long you were in the MEP program? If you were in what is it, MEP program or DEP program?
The DEP, delayed entry program. Yeah. So
how long were you in that?
Okay, I joined when I was a senior, so I was in the delayed entry program. Almost a whole year because I wanted to start early. I wanted to work out with the recruiters, to try to, get that head start to have an advantage on some of the other recruits when I got down to Parris Island, which it helped out. So I ended up spending the whole year in the delayed entry program. And as soon as I graduated, I'll never forget my recruiter. He gave me an option. He said, listen, he said, you graduate in June. He was like, I can ship you in June. or if you want to wait for a little bit, like during the summer or whatever, to kind of kick back a little bit, you just graduated high school or whatever. And I was like, June it is. and that was it, man. I was out. I didn't want to waste time. I didn't want any distractions or whatever. And that was it. So yeah.
And obviously you were East Coast, so you had to go down to Parris Island.
Parris Island.
Do you remember the day that you stepped foot on the yellow footprint?
Let me tell you. So I got the boot camp. I got there June 27th. June 27th, I got, stepped on the yellow footprints and I'm sorry. And I'll never forget, man. I mean, it was a humbling, and all Marines know. Like, I mean, listen, it's different. I mean, it's a very, very humbling experience. You really don't know what you're getting into until you get there.
Yeah.
As you know. You know what I mean? So when I got there, I'll never forget.
Yellow footprints. I know they got the whole platoon. They got squads. And do you remember which squad you were?
I was in first squad. I'll never forget. I was in first squad. The third recruit from the front behind the squad leader. First squad, the third recruit.
You see, I don't even remember. Platoon, you'll never get that out of me.
Platoon 3070, India Company. Drill instructor Staff Sergeant Feagin, drill instructor Sergeant Perkins, drill instructor Sergeant Aguilar, drill instructor Sergeant Wright, and drill instructor Staff Sergeant Arnold.
Who?
5 drill instructors.
Who was your company gunny?
Gunnery Sergeant Williams.
Jesus Christ, this guy, this is a Marine. This was just called motivated hard target.
And the company commander was Captain Stefanik. Yeah.
What year was this?
1995.
Nice, man.
Yeah,
and how you ended up doing that in boot camp?
Yes.
What was boot camp like for you? The experience of just being in the platoon.
It was boot camp wasn't too difficult for me in a physical aspect, and I only say that because I played sports all throughout high school and middle school. As football, I mean, I was I played football and basketball, pretty much through middle school, junior high school and high school. So. The physical aspect, I mean, I was ready for it. Mentally, in the beginning, just like I'm pretty sure everybody, like, you're shocked. Like, you go through that, that mental stage of, for one, being away from home. I mean, that was my first time being away from home. So, you gotta get used to that. And then I would say probably during first phase, because in boot camp you got 3 phases, first, second, and third. I would say probably about 2 weeks into it, I started getting comfortable. I started, being okay with being away from home. And at that point, I was just focused on graduating, man.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I just took it one day at a time. And in the beginning, I mean, everything is in disarray. You're trying to learn how to drill as a platoon. You're trying to mesh together. And I would say, at the first phase, which is, the first 3 weeks or so, everybody starts really gelling together. And then after a while, it becomes easy, man.
What would you say was the hardest part, other than being home, the hardest part of like just gelling together?
The hardest part of gelling together, I would say was like the loyalty. I mean, because you still had some recruits that would sneak stuff in and and get the whole platoon in trouble.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? So I think that's what kept us, that kept us from gelling as quickly as we could have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I hated getting in trouble for other people.
Yeah.
And so, when that would happen, I would definitely say, like just the honesty of all of the recruits, just being straight up. And then once everybody realized, like, look, man, we got to stop doing this. We can't keep getting each other in trouble. Like when the drill instructors tell you to stop or get out the chow hall, don't try to eat the last spoon of food because we're all going to get in trouble. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just,
excuse me.
Right. And it's, and so, after that, like, once we got through that, I think we were all right.
Were you good at drilling?
I was, it took up until second phase. Second phase, I ended up becoming a squad leader. I worked hard, and I was just like, you know what, man, I really wanted it or whatever. And I was pretty good at drill. So yeah, I ended up being a second squad leader.
Did you graduate? I was a second squad leader.
Were you really? I graduated second squad leader.
Yeah, that's how I
Get out of here!
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Even though I got fired and still got promoted.
I got fired twice, but I got fired twice. I got promoted too because I had 2 referrals before.
So you did it the smart way.
Yeah,
For me, I had to
No, I was hooking my recruiter up left and right. I was giving them all my friends, man. I was like, hey, come here. I even tricked one of them. I told him I wanted him to come to a barbecue, but it was to actually come see the recruiter. You know what I mean? We talk and we laugh about that until this day.
See, you are smart.
Yeah,
man.
I'm
sitting there like, okay.
Look, he got me promoted.
Nice.
But you know what? That same guy, Livingston was his name, we were supposed to go on the buddy program. He ended up, unfortunately, I think he failed one class or whatever, so he ended up having to go to summer school. He wanted me. He was like, "Dude, please wait for me, man." And I was like,
"But you were ready. You were ready to become a Marine."
I was like, "I gotta go, man." I was like, "But look at the bright side." I told him, I was like, "Listen, man, let me get down there, and I can tell you how it is, and and you'll be better prepared, because I ain't waiting." You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And what was, obviously, I know about Marine Corps, like we talked about first phase, second, and third.
Second.
And, second is when you get more comfortable. You start to get a little bit of freedom.
Yeah. So the Marine Corps, obviously, compared to all the other branches of the service, I mean, we're the toughest branch. The Marine Corps boot camp is 3 months long.
You hear that? We're the toughest branch.
By far. And I mean, you know what? Other services, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
I think the Army is still 2 months, I believe it is, or something like that, or maybe a little bit longer, but not quite 3 months. The Navy, I don't think, I think they're pretty close to 2 months. The Air Force, I think a little bit less than that. But we're definitely the toughest branch. I remember, I'll never forget, our drill instructor, it was Staff Sergeant Arnold. He was drilling us. And it was one day, it was first phase, and we were out on the parade deck, and he was just, teaching us drill or whatever. And I think we were probably on our second week. And he halted the platoon, platoon halt or whatever. And he told us, he gave us a left face or whatever. And he was like, he said, what I want you guys, he said, I want you recruits, I want you to look at this platoon coming towards us. He was like, this is a third phase platoon that's about to graduate on Friday. Look at how, because we were all over the place. We had no idea what we were doing. And he was like, look at these guys coming at you. And I'll never forget, I got goosebumps. I'm talking about when they can't, as they were marching, they were so sharp. And I mean, all you could hear was just
click, click, all together.
Tap. And I mean, I was just like, holy, you know what I mean? And and we were all you could just see all the recruits in our platoon was just like, oh my God, we'll never be like that. Dude, that's crazy. And I mean, they came and they were all in sync. And I mean, it was just wow. And I was like, you know what, man? That's going to be us one day, but it's going to take a lot of work. A lot of work, yeah.
And that's the way I feel the drill instructors play these mind games.
Yeah.
I remember having the same issue. I think we were just horrible at drill. We just sucked. So our drill instructor, senior drill instructor, took us out to drill. And we were just horrible. So he took our guide on and wrapped it around. So instead of saying Paris Island, Platoon 1097, our guide on was just wrapped around, so it was just a stick. And he was just dragging it around in front of everybody, the other battalion. He was like, you see that? Because you guys are nasty. So finally, we figured, we need to get our stuff together because we're looking bad. So that got us to get a step and figure life out with ourselves.
Wow.
And that's a mind game he played. Look at us.
Yeah.
We don't deserve to be called a platoon because we're all out of order.
They do, yeah. So I remember, I'll never forget the day that we got our name tapes on our camis was that's a milestone. You know what I mean? That was definitely oh man, you see your last name and now you see U.S.
You're Marines next to it.
Yo, we were so happy. But guess what happened?
What happened?
So our Punisher, one of the Punisher drill instructors, which is Staff Sergeant Perkins, which was Staff Sergeant Perkins was this big, tall, white Marine, man. He was bald-headed and he was maybe like 6'7".
Jesus.
6'7" from like Alabama. Like he was just like, yeah, you know
Tough,
what I mean?
like,
Oh my God. Like we would be sitting there, like, you know, like on the, you know, the only time, a lot of times when you get to relax is like when you're sitting there cleaning your weapon. And whenever he was on duty, we hated it because he would just come by you and he wouldn't even say nothing. He would just like get on the quarterback. That's it. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh man, this guy. But anyways, just to go back to the, you know, what I was getting at was, so when we got our name tapes, which is like one of the proudest moments in boot camp, Staff Sergeant Perkins made us, all the recruits, he was like, get online, grab your blouse, get online. He made us take U.S. Marines and our name and put it on the deck and made us scuzz the deck with it. Just like,
just crush your pride. Your pride.
God, dude,
everything is gone.
Yo, man, I mean, I'm talking, I mean, you could tell, like, some of the recruits, like, started tearing up, man.
You have to. Like, this is everything you worked for.
Are you kidding me? Like, you know, like, we didn't do anything to deserve that. But it goes back to what you were saying. Oh, it's all about mind games, man. Mentally, like, you know what I mean? Like, and
make you tough.
Yeah, he did that. And I was
Do you remember the Crucible?
We didn't have the Crucible.
In 95, you guys didn't have the Crucible?
Matter of fact, I think the Crucible came in 96. Yeah, we didn't have the Crucible. So what we had that you guys didn't have was BWT. You guys didn't have that. BWT was, you know, kind of in place of the Crucible. BWT was, it stood for Basic Warrior Training. So I'm pretty sure it was similar to the Crucible. But, you know, back then, I mean, like in 95, man, I mean, it was, you know, training was a little bit different.
What was going on in 95? When was Kuwait? Kuwait was 92? When was Kuwait?
Kuwait was, well, the initial push in Iraq was in like, you know, the early 2000s.
No, I'm talking about before that. Because, weren't we in Kuwait?
Are you talking about like
not the Gulf?
You talking about Saudi Arabia or
when were we in Kuwait? I know we were in there in the 90s.
We were there in the 90s. The exact months.
But maybe
exactly
that's
right.
Maybe I
came out.
So you guys had to do that instead of the Crucible.
Right. So we didn't have.
Walk me through that. What is that process?
So Basic Warrior BWT is just like, I mean, it's like compact with like a whole bunch of like land navigation. I know the Crucible, one of the biggest things that they make you guys go through, which we did too, sleep deprivation,
land
navigation, a lot of land navigation, a lot of hiking, and
a lot of medical training.
A lot of medical training, like you know, like dealing with tourniquets and different things like that. So it was, I'd have to say, it was pretty much the same thing, but just done differently. Like you know what I mean? Like because the Crucible, you know, I think that's only 3 days, right? Is it?
Yeah.
It's
3 or 4 days. I know you march up and then you stay out there for whatever time.
Something like that. Yeah, and it's like the rite of passage. That's when they give you your EGA and all of that.
No,
right?
I didn't get my EGA then. I think they changed it. Since this is your interview, I'll tell you mine. You tell me yours.
Okay. Well, so for us, we did a lot of land navigation, a lot of medical training. Definitely the sleep deprivation. And BWT was like a week long. Yeah, it was a full week. So you're going through this for like a whole week.
Yeah.
And you know, for whatever reason, they decided to switch it up.
And after do you hump up? Do you hike it up and hike back, or
the whole time you're hiking, like everywhere you're going, like you're hiking. I know, like for the Crucible, you guys just went out to like one point or whatever. We were like all over the place, like just different navigation spots, and you know what I mean, like because like I said, it was stretched out for a whole week. So I just put it this way. I remember it wasn't easy. I remember that. Like I mean, it's at the end of training, and it was. You know, it wasn't easy.
When you say the end of training, how long until you get back from the training do you graduate to leave boot camp?
You graduate as soon as BWT is finished. You basically go right into graduation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you see, it was a bit different for us. Now, tell me about the rifle range. I know that's one of the fun parts. Like, believe it or not, it's fun to learn how to like master the weapon, how to master an M16A2 service rifle.
Yes.
Before we do that, I'm gonna ask you a question. What is the maximum effective range of the M16A2 service rifle?
The maximum effective range of the M16A2 area target or point target?
Area target.
Area target is,
If you're wrong, I'll take it out. If I'm wrong, I'll take it out.
Man.
Remember we talked about football fields, baby?
Yeah.
How many football fields?
I mean, well, not five. Is it 500?
Yeah, 500 yards. Don't question yourself, that was
dog. 500 yards. You know, listen, let me tell you. Hey, no, hold on. Listen, let me tell you. When it comes to like military training, Marine Corps training or whatever, listen. You ask me the 14 leadership traits. You ask me anything like, listen, like that.
Yeah. What's your favorite leadership trait out of the 14?
Loyalty.
Loyalty. Why is that?
Because you know what? I just feel that, loyalty is, it's everything, man. I mean, loyalty is just, all you got is your word in life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As a, especially as a man.
And
if you're loyal, and to me, loyal plays into the whole thing of trustworthiness and
justice and decisiveness.
Right. Yeah, those are all, the rest of the leadership traits.
I think they kind of like go hand in hand. Like if whichever you pick, you're gonna find the other in it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because you're talking about judgment, justice, decisiveness, initiative, dependability, tact, integrity, enthusiasm. Bearing, unselfishness, courage, loyalty, endurance. You know what I mean? Hey, which is JJ did top buckle. That's it. Yeah.
Now that you got that right, what's your 5th general order?
To quit my post only when properly released. That was my 5th and my favorite.
There you go.
Yeah, because
I like the first one too. The first one, to walk my post in a military manner and keep it always on the alert. Right. That's one of my favorite too.
What's the how many general orders were there?
12, 13.
No, the 11 general orders.
11. Okay.
But the 12th, there's a 12th one though. But it was an unwritten general order.
Yeah, that's for us though.
Right,
that's what we say.
Right.
I don't remember what it is. So
you want me to tell you what it is?
Yeah, tell me what.
All right, it was to walk my post from flank to flank and take no shit from any rank. That's it, right? But,
wow, and it's crazy how the Marine Corps, everything you do has like it has like steps to it that become muscle memories. Like a lot of times when we're marching, they tell you to the right or blank. You know what I'm saying? And when you go out to war, if you're on the convoy, these things happen. They don't have time to tell you. It's like, blank. You already know. Everything you do is combat related. It's all for training. And that's one of the things like I love about the Marine Corps. Because these are things you can even use in your civilian life. After you do your basic warrior.
Yeah, basic warrior training.
Warrior training. You graduate from boot camp.
Uh-huh.
And do you remember what graduation was like that day?
I remember it was very hot. Put it that way, you know what I mean? Because you're talking, the middle of summer, so
down in South Carolina,
right?
Paris,
yeah, and you got the sand fleas you got to deal with, and I remember like with the sand fleas, man, I got in trouble. I got the platoon in trouble a lot. Let me go back real quick. So the 3 times that I can remember I got the platoon in trouble was one time I was just being a knucklehead. And so my platoon was on the 3rd deck. So the drill instructors, they were like, they said, get outside now. Get outside means go to the pit. You know what I mean? So we're running downstairs because they got upset because we were taking too long to get dressed or whatever, doing it by the numbers. And I'll never forget, you're not going to believe this. But we're running down to the pit. And I had no idea, like this was like, I don't know, maybe like, I was already comfortable at this point, like probably like, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks into the training or whatever, and we're running down to the pit or whatever, and I remember being like one of the first recruits to get to the pit, and I did a cartwheel in the pit, and all I could hear was, you know what I mean? Because already, like they had this thing on, like recruits from New York, like they treat us like they were like, you think you bad and all that, whatever. So all I remember hearing was, no!
Then they go, recruit Fagin! Get back here!
No, that's not what happened. Instead of them putting the whole platoon in the pit, they send the whole platoon back upstairs, and all 5 drill instructors had me in the pit, man.
By yourself.
Listen, for about like an hour and a half, man.
I believe it. I believe it.
They almost broke me that day, man.
I believe it. I believe it.
Hey, listen, man. After that, I was on the straight and narrow. The only other few times I think I got in trouble was always, like trying to be slick with the sand fleas, like this.
Yeah. Oh, they can see it.
Like, they can see it. They can see it.
You got like 100 people standing still, and you're the only one going like
that.
that.
Hey, or you get slick, and tell a recruit behind you, hey, blow my neck. Like trying to look out, man. But those are the good old days, man.
So graduation day, talk to me.
So graduation day, I'll never forget. Well, before graduation day, so Recruit Liberty Day, which is the day before graduation day, my father made it. Like, my father made it. He couldn't be at the graduation because he had to, get back to work or whatever. Yeah. So my father made it, and then, we hung out the whole day, for Recruit Liberty. That's when you get the, it's like your first time where you just get to hang, right, being free or whatever. Yeah. And so we did that, hung out, had a great time. And then the next day, that's when, like my mom, everybody, all my family was there, whatever. And
beautiful.
And it was just, I tell you, man, like just walking across that parade deck, and I'll never forget, like hearing the Marine Corps hymn like that, like just even into this day, like when I go to Marine Corps balls, because I still go to the ball every year and stuff like that.
Every chance I get.
And when I hear the Marine Corps hymn, dude, I listen.
It does something to you, brother.
I get goosebumps.
It does something to you.
I get goosebumps. Like it always takes me back to that place, man. Like it's just something, and I always, like the day you graduate Marine Corps boot camp, man, will never be a day that you'll ever forget in life. Like that's just, you know what I mean? Like it's just. Like,
and it's just beautiful too. Like it's just beautiful. The whole battalion marching in different platoons, and you
got the Marine Corps band out there, like and then they're like the best of the best.
Yeah. Not to brag, we're just the best.
Yeah, just the best, man. And it's just like with all the family out there and everybody cheering, and and when you going, when we're drilling and you going by and they give us that, when you got the CG, they got the CG over there, and they got like all of the guests of honor and everybody, and they give you that eyes right,
man.
They do that eyes right, and you looking over
there
like,
marching, it's the best, man.
Listen, man, you really step back, like lean back and like just set the heels down, man.
It's beautiful. You know how you come out, you hit the parade deck, then you march down to do the eyes right, then you go to the back so the next platoon can come
around and do this.
And you just sitting there watching them, even though you're a part of it. You're like, yo, this is just beautiful.
It's beautiful, man.
One thing I remember during mine, even though it's your interview, I'm gonna say a little.
No.
One thing I remember is before we came out, then they had like the old school Marines come out and do, marching with the rifles and stuff like that. I was like, yo, this is just beautiful, and I'm sitting there being a part of it. Wow. I was like, this is just gorgeous. I love it. Is that the day you got your EGA, or you got yours after the training?
No, that was the day we got it.
You got your that's the same.
The day we got it, man. And
that's when I cried, bro.
Get out of here.
I cried. That's when
you got the EGA.
Yeah. It's like, yo, this is over. And my drill instructor, I'll never forget, said to me like, yo, you're gonna be a great Marine, man. Like, because he promoted me, and I'm sitting there like, and he just, put it in my hand, and then he closes it, and you can't look down at it. So you're sitting there like, yo, I'm a Marine. I'm a United States Marine.
Yeah. And it's funny with you because I remember with our documentary how, like, watching that and like watching you while you were doing, like, actually going through training, man. Yeah. It was unbelievable. I watched you go through the different phases.
You watched me when I was a civilian.
I watched you when you were I watched you when you were a civilian. Yeah. I remember us taking you to the school.
Yeah.
I remember you let me tell you. I remember you standing out. Listen to me. I remember you standing outside with your tie around your neck, waiting for the results or whatever. And I'll never forget, if I remember correctly, like when your teacher called you in, and she was like, hey, so what do you think or whatever? And you was like, well, I think I passed. And then she was like, you passed. And you was like, yes.
For people who don't know, because I went to a charter school,
right?
And in my school, it's not like you take a test like everybody else. You have to put together a portfolio for all the 4 years that you were in that school, and then you have to present it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
And then they have to have a panel to present your project and what you've learned and accomplished over the 4 years to, kind of like map your way out. Oh. So a lot of times, if they're like, no, we don't want this, you got to do it over. And
wow.
for me, just to be able to do that, to say, okay, now I can get my high school diploma to go into the Marines was like a blessing.
That was like, because that was the last step
it was
for
the
you.
last step, and that just changed my life completely.
Wow.
Not only you got to pass all your classes, now you got to convince them with a portfolio. Like, yeah, this is
like you got, wow. So they could literally
reject it.
Reject you.
Yeah, man, kind of thing.
Wow. Oh
so that's why you saw that. So yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
super
No, so
happy.
that I saw that. Yeah.
You saw my whole.
No, I saw everything. I saw everything, man. I still remember the morning when your recruiter,
Kitchens,
which retired Master Sergeant Kitchens now, when he came, and I remember him, picking you up.
Yeah.
I remember, going back, when you and Stoney, when you guys were coming back after taking the ASVAB and y'all were clowning on the van, and you was like talking about, they was asking you, Kitchens was driving, and you was like, when I go out there, I don't gotta go to war or nothing like that. I can be cooking up meals. I could be, washing the
Little did I know, 2005. Okay, you going to war?
Right.
I ran into you in Afghanistan.
We did.
Let's go back to we got so much to talk about.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
So you graduated boot camp, right?
Yeah.
So now what happened? Where was your first duty station?
So my first duty. So I graduated boot camp. My first duty station, I ended up getting stationed at MAG 26, Marine Aircraft Group 26, which is on New River, Marine Corps Air Station, New River. Yeah. So I'm stationed there, and then after being there for about 6 months, because back during that time, we still had the old school camis where we used to put starch on them or whatever, and every night, man, I'm spit shining my boots or whatever. So I've always been a squared away Marine, like
good to go.
As far as my grooming standards, uniform, everything or whatever. So we ended up, at my first duty station at MAG 26, they had they did a board for meritorious Lance Corporal, which I went up for the board and I ended up getting it.
Nice.
They did another board for of 5 Marines to become to become not Marine of the Quarter, but to be able to leave MAG 26 and go to Camp Lejeune to drive a 2-star general.
Right.
So my gunny, which was Gunny Wing, she was a female gunny, put me up for that, and I ended up going up for it, and I won, and I ended up leaving New River, going to 2MEF, 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force, and then I ended up driving for Major General Rollins.
Yes, and this was all within your first enlistment?
Within my first enlistment.
What's that like, driving for a 2-star? Is that nervous? Do you get nervous?
In the beginning, but I'll never forget, like, my Gunnery Sergeant, which was, he retired as a Master Gunnery Sergeant, but at the time, Gunnery Sergeant Jefferson, never took, like, when I got over there, like, he briefed me, and he was just like, hey, look, you're gonna be a driver for the general, you know what I mean? And he was like, chances are you're gonna get meritorious corporal, because normally they want you to be a corporal or whatever, and for you to be, it should be an honor for you to be selected.
And it looks great on your fit rep.
Oh my God.
Not fit rep. What do you get before staff?
You getting your pros
and cons.
Yeah,
that's
of course.
Perfect. Yeah.
Absolutely. So he was like, and the one thing you got to remember, that general puts his pants on just like you. And he was like, and let me, just tell you a little bit about the general, and then he started explaining, like, Major General Rollins is he's an infantry Marine, he's been recon as well, and he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for sit-ups.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he, I think it was 42,000 sit-ups nonstop in like 19 hours.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I gotta
Wayne,
look that up.
Yeah, look that up.
Yeah.
Wayne E. Rollins, Major General Rollins. So he, and I mean, I'd say probably the first few times I drove him or whatever, like he made it so comfortable for me because, he would talk to me while I, whatever, like, hi, he was from the South, so he had this very, like Southern accent, whatever. Yeah, and he, would always joke. And I think one of the craziest things about, while driving him, I'll never forget. So one night I'm driving him and his wife to Cherry Point because they have an engagement, like an evening dinner, whatever, on base or whatever. And so I'm driving them, and I'm in the front, I'm in my, uniform driving them in back then we had the Chrysler Concords or whatever. And him and his wife got into, like, they got into it about something. and she was just like going off on him. And I'm like thinking the driver like, oh my God, she's yelling at a 2-star general. Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
like just right.
To you, he's a 2-star, but this is family,
So
this is the
right,
husband,
right,
you know.
right, yeah. And I was just, I know, but I mean, it was just kind of, you know, it just blew my mind just to witness that, you know, to be a part of it. But I loved it, man. So I ended up driving him for 2 years, being his driver for 2 years, and when I got promoted to corporal, I did get married towards corporal, and we went for cold weather training for 30 days to Norway, and I purposely waited because I wanted to get promoted in Norway, and we were 100 miles above the Arctic Circle, you know, where it happened at. So, boom,
Beautiful.
pin me on. Major General Islands, pin my chevrons on.
And that was your first enlistment?
That was my first enlistment.
Because your first enlistment sounds like it was great. Is that why you ended up re-enlisting?
Yeah.
Or you knew you were going to do 20 years?
I knew I was going to stay. I knew I was going to be a lifer, man. Like, I was just like, you know, this is already, you know what I mean? Like, I was already on that path, you know? And then, so after that, like, during the first enlistment, once I was done with that, I ended up getting orders to Okinawa. I went to Okinawa.
Where in Okinawa were you?
I was on Camp Courtney.
Courtney, I was on Kinzer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Courtney was what? The Air Force, wing.
No. Courtney, during that time, because I was there from 1998 to 99. Courtney had the MEF, the CG.
Yeah.
Well, the CG, they were at on Camp Hansen, and then they ended up moving down to Courtney.
Because I think when I was there, it wasn't an air base, but they did a lot of aviation.
Right, yeah. So I liked it, man. I mean, I like Courtney because Courtney was like right kind of in the middle of everything. You were close to Kadena Air Force Base.
Gate 2.
Yeah, you had Gate 2. The commissary was right
there. Just
there.
a bus ride to Foster.
Right there.
Yeah.
And the cabs from there was a lot cheaper than coming all the way from like Hanson or
Schwab.
Oh, Schwab. Oh, God, I felt bad for those Marines.
Those
there,
places
man.
are crazy.
Yeah. So.
So you did the first enlistment.
So I did the first enlistment there. Did the 1 year in Okinawa, and then after Okinawa, I ended up getting orders to Quantico, Marine Corps Systems Command.
Yeah, you had a good.
Yeah. So
people die to go to Quantico. Man.
I ended up getting to Quantico.
Coming from New York, Quantico is Virginia, and you're like 2-3 hours away.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it worked out perfectly. I got there, and at Marine Corps Systems Command, basically, you know, what we did there was, like, you know, Marine Corps Systems Command, like, you know, they help. You know, like they go out and like all the different new weapon systems that, you know, like in the infantry field or whatever, like whether it's the Hercules, the Dragon, different vehicles, you know, whatever. You know, Marine Corps Systems Command plays an important role. So one of my job was I used to go out. I would go TAD a lot, and whenever we would put like a, you know, like a new vehicle out, like whether it's a new Humvee, a new type of Humvee, or like the MRAP or
from
whatever.
From like 11, 14 to like whatever.
Oh, yeah, 11, exactly. Yeah. Like whatever the upgrade was, my responsibility was to go to that unit and like interview the Marines on, in comparison, like what are the likes and dislikes of this new vehicle compared to the old vehicle, like, you know what I mean, or whatever. And then I would get all of that, and, you know, it was like interviewing them, like, I mean, I had the camera and everything or whatever.
Job,
yeah, and I would go back, you know, brief the CG, which was a 1-star general, you know, and brief the command or whatever, because at that time I was already a sergeant. And yeah, so I would fly all over the place, man, and go, you know, like go out to 29 Palms and like new rocket systems, whether it was like I said, the Javelin, the Hercules, or whatever. I asked the guys, like, what do you think? And they would give you the feedback, man. Like, these guys, especially with those newer vehicles, like the ones like when they started getting like air conditions in them or whatever. I'll never forget. I was interviewing one kid, one Marine, you know, whatever. He was a Lance Corporal, you know, and like I said, I was a sergeant. You know, whatever. And I was like, so what? He was like, oh man, that thing is like a Mercedes compared to what it, you know, whatever. Like, I mean, so it was always, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, man. Yeah.
So now, obviously, you in your second enlistment,
yes,
and you have to do a B billet. Or did you have to do a B billet, or you just picked it? You say, hey,
you know what?
A B billet, for those of us who don't know, at a certain point in the Marine Corps, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, at a certain point, you have to do a special duty, whether it's recruiting or it's drill instructor, and what was the third?
Embassy.
MSG. MSG is when you go work at the embassy, like anywhere in the world with the Marines.
Yeah, that's correct. So, or now there's a fourth one now, which is a MCT instructor.
Yeah.
So, okay, you don't have to. You know what I mean? You'd be surprised. There's a lot of Marines that do 20 years in the Marine Corps and retire and has never done a B billet. It's unlikely or whatever. You know, but some.
I mean, if you do it, it looks better, no?
It looks very, exactly. Because chances are, once you go out on these B billets, whether it be recruiter, drill instructor, MSG duty,
or now
or MCT instructor, you know, chances. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for meritorious promotions. That's number one. So that gives you an advantage, you know, and puts you ahead of your peers that's not doing a B billet. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's like a roadmap for your career, like setting you up.
I mean, and it also shows the Marine Corps you want to take initiative, you want the extra duty, you want to step up.
Absolutely.
And do something.
And I'm gonna tell you what happened with me. So here's the tricky part. The tricky part is, like, let's say, you know, you're a Marine. The minute you pick up sergeant, you need to start thinking about a B billet, because you know, you need to figure out which one you wanted to do, like which one you want to do. Like, for instance, for me, I wanted to be a drill instructor. I've always wanted to be a drill instructor because I was always good at drill, and that was my passion. And I'll never forget.
And you were sharp too, because when I met you, you were sharp. Like, you, as a recruit, you see somebody that's sharp, like, it set the standards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, always squared away in uniform and everything. And so, I'll never forget. So the day I got promoted, my staff sergeant, you know, she called me in and she's like, hey, so you need to start thinking about a B billet. And I was like, all right. I said, yeah. I said, I've already been thinking, Staff Sergeant, you know, I want to be a drill instructor. And she was like, well, you might want to, you know, do an AA form, which is an administrative action form, to request what B billet you want to do.
Yeah.
Because if you wait around, like,
they'll
if you
just throw you in whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And guess what happened to me? Not even like, so she told me, like, you know, you might want to get started on that or whatever. And I procrastinated and I waited, and not even like 2 weeks later, boom, my name popped up on the Hearst list. The Hearst list is for recruiting. And so I was just like, oh my God, like, wow, like, are you kidding me? Because now once you pop up, you know, and you know, you could say, oh, well, I want to be a drill. Like, no, it doesn't work that way now. No. You know what I mean? Like, now you gotta be a recruiter. Yeah. Or, you know, you get some Marines that'll try to get out of it, you know what I mean? Like, they'll, you know, that probably don't want to be a recruiter, so they'll, and then you got some that, you know, that may have, you know, like marital problems or financial problems or whatever, which are factors that'll, you know, that could get you disqualified. However, not permanently disqualified. So, you know, you might get disqualified for 6 months
after you get your stuff together.
Right, after you get your, because guess what? After 6 months, guess what's gonna happen? Your name pop right back up on the Hearst list, and they coming back, and they're gonna say, hey, look, you know, did you get those, you know,
things
right or whatever? Away. Because if you didn't, now you're like, you know what I mean? Now you got an issue, or whatever. So, so that's how it works, man.
Nice.
But yeah.
After they put you on the list, you come to do recruiting. How did you get in New York? Like, you're from New York,
right?
And you get
so the way recruiting normally works is, you know, at least the way that it was explained to us is that normally, if you're from, you know, they try to put you back in the area where you're from, because
they figured you know people,
and not only that, but you should be in a more comfortable environment. And what I mean by that is, you know, think about it. You know, you're talking about New York City, which is the melting pot. You got every nationality in the world, people from all over the world, different types of attitude. I mean, you got it all. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you know, all the bells and whistles in New York City. And, you know, to take, let's say you get a recruiter, somebody that grew up in, you know, like Alabama or whatever, you know. So you got like this, you know, and you try to match it up with demographics too. So you don't want to take a white recruiter and stick them in Flatbush where you got like a bunch of Jamaica, you know what I mean, or whatever, especially somebody from like Alabama. But, you know, if you got somebody that grew up in Brooklyn, a Marine that grew up in Brooklyn or Queens or whatever, you put them over there, chances are they already know those high schools. They know how they know
approach
the
the people.
They know how the approach. They know the lingo. They, you know what I mean. They know it all.
Smart.
So it's gonna right exactly. So
and you did recruiting. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just gonna say and basically what you're doing by doing that is you're setting that Marine up for success. Success.
Yeah.
If you.
And how long did you do recruiting duty?
I did recruiting for 3 years. I did it for 3 years. I did it. They wanted me to stay. I ended up being a pretty good recruiter. I got meritorious promoted to staff sergeant. I got the.
But you guys had a fun recruiting team, though.
We did.
You guys had a fun recruiting team. It made people want to be Marines. Like,
yeah, that's true.
These guys are cool.
Nah, we were. You know what? We were a bunch of characters, man.
But not in the sense of like, okay, you just do whatever you
want.
No. It was more like, yo, you guys made it look like, yo, this is a job. This is cool. These guys come from where we come from. They speak what we speak, and they're driving a government vehicle. They're sharp. They're smart. And you're like, yo, I want to do this, man.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And all of the recruiters that we had there with our team, with Mason Pena,
I remember him.
With Kitchens,
Staff Sergeant
you, myself. We had. Karaya, I don't know if Karaya was there when you were there, but we had Kafega, we had and we all got along, man.
Yeah.
Stats on Yola.
Yeah.
Yola, and I mean we were like family, man.
Yeah, you walk in that office, it's like, yo, you guys are doing something. Like, yo, let's go run, let's go train. Like young people coming in, you guys treated us like we were already Marines. Marines. This is what you guys sit us down and tell us what we need to do to be successful.
Absolutely.
Like, yo, you got to work hard. You got to do this. You got to do that. Absolutely. So after your 3 years is over, you rotate. Now.
Yeah. So after my 3 years is over, I got orders. You ready for this? To 6th Con Battalion, Brooklyn. So
you go from next door, from Jamaica, Queens.
Well, because you know what? Because the monitor.
Were you comm? Were you communications? How'd you get attacked? What was your ambush?
I was admin. I was admin.
So,
I was admin. Yeah, I was.
So you were already in like these fields, like so
right.
You know what I mean?
And I knew, and it's, it's all about connections too. Like if you know a lot of Marines. I know Marines in like different places or whatever. Yeah. So. The monitor, because at the recruiting, like I wanted to go back out to the fleet because I wanted to deploy. Like I wanted to, get out there, whatever. And so the monitor asked me. It was a hot fill, and a hot fill, for those that aren't familiar with it, is basically where you got like these critical positions at different duty stations that needs to be filled, and it's hard to fill them, whatever. So he called me up and was like, hey, look, I see you're about to rotate, I got a spot over here. Do you want it? Because it's a hot fill. And I was like, sign me up.
Me home.
Like, right,
Get me home.
Yeah,
like, from Brooklyn, in Brooklyn, and coming from Queens.
Right, exactly. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it, whatever. So then I ended up going over there. I took it. I got promoted to Gunny at 6th Com. I was there I did recruiting from 2002 to 2005, and I was at Brooklyn from 2005 to 2008. Yeah. And there I was the company gunnery sergeant, headquarters company, whatever, and just training reservists.
You said to 2008, right?
Yes, to 2008.
And then where did you go? Because I ran into you. What year did I run into you in either Iraq or Afghanistan? Where were we?
We were in Afghanistan. You ran into me in 2010.
Yeah.
In 2010. So in 2008, I got orders to Camp Pendleton. I went to 1st Marine Expeditionary Force.
California.
Right, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. So I got there in 2008. So 2008, 2009, 2010, we deployed to Afghanistan for 13 months, actually. 13, yeah.
That's a long deployment.
Yeah, 13 months. We were there, and I'll never forget. So, I'm sitting in the chow hall one day, just hanging out or whatever, and then I looked up, and I saw you walking past, and I was like, Hill? And you was like, Fagin? And I was like, oh my God, dude.
Small world,
yeah,
man. Even in Afghanistan,
yeah,
small
like,
world.
because at the time, like, I didn't even know you've gotten out.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, you know, now I'm working on
Electronic warfare,
electronic warfare or whatever.
So I was one of those text
It was
fiction,
just so trippy, man. And my CO, which at the time was Colonel Reynolds, which she's a 2-star right now.
Yeah.
About to be a 3, the tall female. She saw our documentary,
yeah.
So she knew who you were.
Yeah, she came and told me.
And then I went, and I was like, when I saw, I was like, I gotta show you. I was like, ma'am, you're gonna believe this or whatever.
Yeah, she was really nice.
Yeah,
man.
she was really, really nice, man. Yeah, but I was just.
It was
like,
so cool to run into you.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? After I ran into you, and I want to say, was it before that? A year before that, I was in Fallujah, and I ran into Sean Kitchens in Fallujah. Well, he was a Gunny then. I ran into him in Fallujah.
Oh, get out of here. Wow.
I ran into him, and he was like, hey, and, you know, obviously we know each other, so he kept calling me, oh, I got this thing that needs to be fixed. I'm like, yeah, just bring it down and we'll fix it. So it was super cool to, like, run into you and then run into him.
I know.
And I was still in uniform. I was a corporal in 2005, and there was a young Marine that used to work, was it Jefferson, Johnson, Jack? I know he was a young reservist.
Oh, that worked in the station?
Yeah, in the station.
No, we had Lance Corporal Richards.
Richards, yeah. I ran into him. And I was a corporal then, and he was a Lance Corporal.
Where was he at?
In Tacadam.
Out
Tacadam. I was still in uniform, and he came in, and he was like, hey, Pluvis. I turned around, and he was like, oh, Corporal Pluvis. I'm like, dude, what do you mean corporal? Now it's like all formal now. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, relax. I'm just a corporal, bro.
Right,
so, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he saw, like, I jumped, you know, as far as rank. I'm like, yo, relax with all that, man.
Right.
But, you know, it's the Marine Corps. So it was good to go, man. I ran into, like, a lot of you guys out there, man.
Wow, man. Wow.
And
that's yeah.
So after your deployment from 29 Palms, you come back.
Yeah, after my deployment, I came back. I came back, and then we were about to deploy again, but we didn't. I think they sent 2 meth out. No, they put, I think, 2 meth. I think they sent a second rotation out or whatever, and so we ended up. So then I was there, and then I got orders after being on Pendleton. I was there for 4 years. I got orders to go down to MCRD San Diego.
With recruits?
With the recruits, yeah. And down there, I was a recruit admin branch, and I was a Marine Corps martial arts instructor.
Just running stuff like that.
Yeah, I was training.
Dude, that's crazy.
Training recruits.
That's a lot of stuff you've done.
Yeah.
That's a lot of.
Marine Corps martial arts instructor. And it was just, you know, I mean, I enjoyed it. I love MCRD. And then I ended up spending 2 years on MCRD, and then after that, 2013, I got orders to Bahrain, to the Middle East, which was a great.
You told me you were in Bahrain.
Yeah, I was in Bahrain.
You wrote me and you asked. I think I was in Kuwait or Afghanistan, and you wrote me on Facebook to tell me you were in Bahrain or if I was in that area.
Yeah, I did.
I remember that exactly. Yeah.
I asked you.
I was in Afghanistan at the time. I remember that.
Yeah. We were there. I was in Bahrain. When I first got to Bahrain, I was initially I was sent on 2-year orders, but then the monitor ended up cutting the orders to 1 year because he had a hot fill. You know, he was my monitor, which was a Master Guns, and I knew him personally, and he had a hot fill, and he asked me, he was like, hey, do you want to go to Garden City, New York? So I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, Master Guns, are you serious?
Right here on Long Island.
Yeah, he was like, yeah. He said, yeah, I want to send you there. He was like, you know, you're going to go up to work at the district, you know, for 1st Marine Corps recruit, district or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'll go to 1st District. And, you know, and it was perfect for me because, I mean, you know, coming from a recruiting background and now going back into recruiting, you know, and then my CO when I was a recruiter, which was Major Dill, guess what? Now when I get the 1st Marine Corps District, he's the district CO, Colonel Dill.
So you just your whole career has been a blessing.
It has been. And so when I get up to the district, guess who else is there that I go back with? I don't know if you remember Master Sergeant Hess might have came after you, but Hess was there, Master Gunny Grill, and, you know, like a lot of the guys that we recruited, but they stayed and became career recruiters.
Yeah.
And you know, so it was just like a, you know, big family reunion, man. So I got up there, and, you know, up there, obviously at the district level, you're dealing with, you know, like a lot of waivers and different things like that or whatever. But, you know, and my and while I'm at the district, guess who my CG is? Down at because at First Marine Corps District, the CG is down at Paris Island, which is Eastern Recruiting Region. Yeah. General Reynolds.
So like all folks like
General Reynolds from from Afghanistan. Now you know she got promoted to 1-star, and now she's not.
Small world. The Marine Corps is such a small world, man. Like guys I was in boot camp with, I ran into whether in Iraq or Kuwait, Afghanistan, and even here in New York City. I ran into a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
So after all of that, now you're getting ready to retire.
So I'm getting ready to retire. So I'm at the district, and I'm coming up on 20 years or whatever. So now I got a decision to make. I'm like, all right, do I stay in or whatever? And so I thought about it, and then and I was like, you know what, let me just start like just throwing fillers out there for like jobs or whatever. And then and I did, and and I got like a great job offer, and I was like, you know what,
here in New York,
and I took it. And then plus, not only that, I was like, you know what, like I want to go ahead and retire. So I ended up retiring in November of 2015, and I wanted to focus on school. Like I wanted to go to college, or whatever, because, I mean, yeah, you can go to college when you're in, but
it's
not the same. It's very difficult, whatever. And what I wanted was, like when I actually started school, like I wanted to just be focused. I mean, I did
no interruptions.
Yeah. I mean, I did school when I was stationed at Quantico and stuff like that, but it's like
one class here, one class. Same thing with me. Same thing with me.
Depending on where you get transferred, all your credits don't transfer. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait, and then just focused on it. And
where'd you go to school?
I ended up going Trident University.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what'd you study?
I studied. So I got my first degree, my bachelor's in a Bachelor of Science in Leadership and Interdisciplinary Studies. I got a master's in Homeland Security. And I got a master's in business administration.
This guy, you just getting all the
And I ended up having money left over. I still had GI Bill, so I started a third master's program for human resources.
That's what I'm gonna do now. Get another degree.
So
get a master's.
Right. So and that's what I wanted to do.
And it's crazy because you feel like, think about it. You have all these degrees and no student loans.
No student loans.
No, right?
No.
And can you imagine if we didn't have the military to?
Let me tell you, I just don't. When I look at myself compared to people I know that got $80,000 in student loan debt, I'm like, I mean, I just even thinking about that gives me anxiety. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like just to have that type of debt over you, like just and I mean it's. For us, I mean, you work hard, you serve,
And we paid into the GI Bill at the time.
No, we did, yeah. We
compared to what we get back.
Right. We paid into it, we did, and that's one of the beauties, and that's, believe it or not, like on recruiting duty, that was one of the biggest things I used to tell kids, like, listen, man, let me tell you, the Montgomery GI Bill and just being able to go to college for free, let me tell you, it's a blessing, man. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
it has a lot of great benefits.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And obviously, we learned about your life before the Marine Corps, during the Marine Corps, and obviously you're retired, all your degrees.
Yes.
And so on. Can I ask you some questions about current events?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anything you're not comfortable with, you're more than welcome to say. Listen, you know what?
Look, lay it on me, man. I'm comfortable. I mean,
coming from New York.
Yeah, of course.
Italian and Cuban.
Yeah.
You get down to South Carolina, Paris Island. Now we're around different groups of people.
Yes.
Confederate flags all over the place.
Yes.
Now the Marine Corps has made the decision to remove the Confederate flag or anything with the Confederate flag, that symbol, from all of its bases. Yeah. How do you feel?
Way long overdue. Way long overdue. I remember being a young Marine, especially my first duty station, being at, New River and down at Camp Lejeune, and like seeing, a lot of Marines with Confederate flags on their trucks, and like, I didn't like it. Like, I mean, I just thought back then, I thought it was just, I mean, it just said something. I mean, about, I mean, you're for you to have that flag on your truck, which means, I mean, obviously that tells me that, that's what you support. You know what I mean? And that's what you know.
What does it mean to you? Like, just say that's what you support. What does that support mean?
Well, the Confederacy. Like, I mean, like a lot of the Confederate generals or whatever, like they were extremely racist. I mean, they fought to keep slavery, and so when I see somebody riding around with a Confederate flag on their truck, I'm like thinking, that's your mindset, man. Like, and you're a Marine. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's what was crazy for me as like a black Marine. Let's say, and I use this example all the time. Like, let's say you got out of Gunny, right? And you were my supervisor, and I'm under you, and you believe in the Confederate flag, everything that it stands for. You think the generals that lived, their mindset was like the greatest mindset ever, and I work under you. The minute that I'm 5 minutes late, I'm automatically gonna think, is Gunnery Fagin gonna give me a harsher punishment because
you're a black Marine?
What if a person who is not black shows up an hour late? Well, so to me, I think just the fact that it was on base was kind of abusive for those of us who are children of enslaved Africans in America.
Right.
Those of us whose great grandparents had to face racism in the world.
Oh yeah.
And here we are in the workplace and have to work under those conditions. So I'm
100%.
Kudos to the Marine Corps for changing that.
100%. And I never felt comfortable with it, because my mom Cuban, my mom's black. You know what I mean? Like just and a lot of people don't don't often think, but like, when it came to like slavery and stuff, like there was more slaves sent to South America, and Central America, whatever.
And the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean than North America, whatever. And, and it's in our blood, man. And so, and I'm not saying that everybody that had a Confederate flag on their truck was racist. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's just, because the thing is, you got to also, like, I mean, obviously, I have my own views and my own ways that I look at things or whatever, my own beliefs or whatever. And, a lot of folks, I mean, it could just be the household you grew up in. Like,
But that still doesn't remove what it represents.
It does not remove what it represents.
Know what it represents. It's just that pride that they have in it, that they make it a part of their heritage.
No, I know. I mean, I have friends until this day. Matter of fact, I got a friend that's, I won't call his name, but he's a retired Master Sergeant. Matter of fact, we was in Afghanistan together. Matter of fact, we shared the same
tent.
Yeah, we did. And his wife is black, and he's white. He's white, from Louisiana, grew up in a racist household or whatever, and he's just never been a part of it. Like, he wanted nothing to do with that, whatever. And so his wife is black, and basically his family told, like, they disowned it. Like, when he married, they did. And he got a biracial baby, whatever. And I was just like, dude, like, I was like, how do you deal with that? And he was just like, look, he said, basically told my parents, like, told my family, like, listen, if you don't accept my wife, then you know what? I don't ever want to see you again. Yeah. And I was like, good on you, brother. I was like, I mean, that's not a hard decision for me to make if I was ever put in that position, like, you know what I mean? Because it's just, just because I grew up, in that house, like,
doesn't mean you have to.
I don't have to. I don't have to carry that over.
I mean, look at us. We grew up here in New York City, where a lot of people end up doing crazy things, and we figured like, we don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we grew up here in New York.
Yeah, you see it. You see it on the trains every day, and.
People do crazy things, but you got to be man enough to say, this is not for me. This is not what I'm going to do.
Dude, I remember like my the first tattoo I got, right? Well, the first and only tattoo, whatever. And I got this tattoo to cover up like a little stab mark right here, where I got like on the train.
Oh, now we're getting into the hood stories.
Yeah, like on the train, 13 years old,
and
like 3 kids, bigger kids, try to take, like, I don't know if you remember, back then we had like the starter jackets. Yeah. And I'll never, I had a giant starter jacket, you know, and these kids try to rob my, you know, take me for my jacket or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not giving you my jacket. It's the middle of winter, like, and I'm like, no, you know, and one kid pulled out a knife and like he cut me or whatever, but you know,
see,
I got away. But I'm saying, but like, right, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I could have easily looked at that and was like, you know, like, you know, pick up from that, like, you know what? Then you know what? No, I should be in a gang. You know what I'm saying? So if I ever run into this, you know what I'm saying, again or whatever, like, whatever. And but I was like, nah, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need this. Like, I knew one day I'm gonna be a Marine. You know what I mean?
So now
I'm gonna come back in with all that.
We'll be living good.
Right.
With Black Lives Matter movement going on. How do you feel about it? What does Black Lives Matter mean to you?
Well, you know, Black Lives Matters to me is something that's so far overdue, man. It's so far overdue, and you know, and I see a lot of stuff on social media, you know, and people that I was friends with on social media. Yeah, I can't even tell you how many people I've deleted off social media because I just started seeing like a lot of blatant racism coming out, man. I'm like, oh,
even
what?
Some Marines veterans?
Even some, even some, and you know, and I was taken back by it, but you know, so you know, when I see it, you know, and you see some people, you know, like they'll come back with, well, all lives matter. No, that's not the point. No, Black Lives Matter.
Because black people are being murdered.
Black people get right, exactly. And then the, you know, the comeback is I had a conversation, you know, about this. I engaged a conversation with this, and normally I don't get caught up into it or whatever, you know, online or whatever. And you know, normally the comeback would be, if they're trying to, you know, like defend all lives matter, the comeback would be, well, when it's black on black crime, you know. And then I'm like, no, you can't compare that. There's no comparison. No, because guess what? When it's black on black, you know, well, I don't see the same, you know, outcry when it's black. You know what? When it's black on black crime, whoever that black the person that killed the other guy, whatever, he's gonna go to jail. You know what I'm saying? That's different from a white cop killing a black man and not getting punished for it or getting away with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you can't compare the two.
And that's the same.
This guy's gonna go to jail. You know what I'm saying? You know, and so.
And that's the same thing I say to them too, because a lot of times, a black person kills a black person. You see how we're talking about it, black on black crime?
Right.
We act like other people don't kill other people. White people kill white people all the time.
White people
shoot up schools all the time, but because it's marketed that way, we quick to say black on black crime.
Right.
And let's say,
and
let's say I kill a black person. I'm a civilian. I'm not a police officer. I'm expected to go to jail.
Right.
But now the people that we hire to make sure these things don't happen, blacks don't kill blacks, whites don't kill whites, orange don't kill orange or whatever. But what if they're the ones that's taking the black lives? The people that we hire for that protection, the city, the state,
we
the federal,
pay taxes
to protect, but they're the ones doing the killing and walking away with it. You can't tell me you believe all lives matter.
You can't. And that's, and you know, and the hypocrisy, you know, the thing that gets me too is, you know, when I look at stuff like this, you know, whether it's Eric Garner or, you know, George Floyd or, you know, Breonna Taylor or you know, whatever, you know, like, I mean, the list goes on and on. Yeah, I mean, you know that. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. And, you know, and you look at, you know, like a kid that goes to, you know, like the kid that went in this church in Charleston, shot all these people, drive away, gets away, and when he got caught, you know, when the cops finally caught him, they gave him breakfast.
Yeah, took him to Burger King.
They took him to Burger King. He didn't get shot. He didn't get killed.
And they know he had an assault rifle. They knew that.
That's
and then
what
you
I'm
killed
saying.
an
like,
unarmed person. And
right. And you know, like with the young man a few months back, the one that fell asleep in the drive-thru or whatever. With the cop, you know what I'm saying? Listen, I don't condone like what he did. You know, when he tried to like grab the gun and all that, you know, whatever, like, you know, like I wish he didn't do that. However, that still didn't give that cop a right to shoot that guy in his back. Man.
That's exactly where I went wrong. If I were that cop, of course I would have. The minute I felt he was drunk, I would have handcuffed him or do whatever. But the minute that he ran away, then I don't. Even at war, even in Iraq, before you go out, you learn not to do these things.
You learn not to do these things, and I'm gonna tell you what the problem is too when it comes to a lot of these cops, because I'm so sick and tired of them using the excuse, because I got one of my aunts retired NYPD, and she used to tell me all the time, like, they have to change the way that they train.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know what I'm saying? Because they're trained, and I work with a lot of cops too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the World Trade.
Well, you work in
right at the it's secure, and they're trained at the police academy. If you have to put whenever you pull your weapon, you shoot to kill. That needs to change, man.
Don't even
and I'm gonna tell you, no, exactly. That needs to, that mindset.
As Marines, we're not even trained for that.
No, we're not even trained for
that.
It's
bow. If you keep coming, then yeah.
Right, yeah. If there's a escalation of force, like, you know what I'm saying, you use deadly force only when absolutely
no other
necessary,
ways.
when there's no whatever. But if I got, like, so for instance, the guy, in the drive-thru or whatever, this cop. Now, he's going to use, and I want to see how the trial goes, but I guarantee you, the defense lawyer is going to say, well, he pulled the taser or whatever, and the fact that my cop, this cop pulled his firearm, when you pull your firearm, you shoot to kill. Mm-hmm. They're going to use that. You see what I'm saying? So what I mean when I say I think they need to, revamp their training, or whatever, is because it shouldn't be that. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can shoot this guy in his leg. Yeah. If you shoot somebody in the, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to shoot him in the back. Chances are you're gonna kill him. Mm-hmm. You're gonna hit a major organ and you're gonna kill this dude.
But you know what's crazy to me? If that was for everybody, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I see where people who aren't black are actually approaching police officers with knives. And the police officers learn how to, back up and learn better ways to.
Yeah.
I saw a guy with a long machete approaching two cops.
Yeah.
And they were really, really smart about how to disarm them.
Right. But
it's really about the training. I think the minute that they see, if it's a black person, I feel deep down inside, it's an easier target. It's somebody that can shoot and get away with it, as opposed to if it's a white person. If it's a white person, it'll be tougher on the cop. I think that. Because if we look at the case with the black Somalian officer who shot that white woman, within no time, and on the West Coast, I'll send you the article, within no time he was in jail. Yeah. But when it happens the other way around, it's not necessarily
right. It don't go that. It's right.
And that's one of the things that bother me.
No. Going back to your original question, what does it mean to me? Like Black Lives Matter. Like, it's just.
You're so good at this, you remember the question. You're so good at
this.
Let me go back. Such a Marine.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it's like, obviously what happened to George Floyd, like that video, like, listen, man, I think that video obviously started a movement. Mm-hmm. And in that video, around the world. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Around the world. Mm-hmm. And what was so shocking and surprising, when you look at all these protesters, man, you see everybody out there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like Asians, you got
black,
Hispanics,
white, orange, Spanish, everybody.
Everybody.
Because people are sick and tired of it, man.
People are sick and tired of it, man. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and do I think all cops are bad? No, all cops aren't bad.
Man. We got friends who are cops.
We got friends that are cops.
We got family members who are cops.
We got families that are cops. Like, and I know that, not all of them are bad, but but are there some bad cops? Yeah, of course there's bad cops, man. And they messed it up for the rest of them. They messed it up for the rest of them. And the thing too, which is another problem, is when they don't speak out. Like when they see something that's wrong and they don't. Like, for instance, the black cop, the female that got years ago, it just came out like after all of this or whatever, she saw one of her partners, a white cop, choking somebody or whatever, and she was about to retire at 19 years, and they punished her for that. Yeah. And I hope she get her justice. I hope she get her, get it back. But to me, those cops that are, that are just standing there or whatever, and not say that, you're just as guilty, dude. Mm-hmm. You're just as guilty, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And now that's why I'm glad, the body cams. Mm-hmm. Everybody's recording everything, and then now you got body cams. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And any cop that don't have on his body cam when he's in the middle of action or whatever should be guilty. Yeah. You're hiding something.
Which is it's still hard for me, because even when they're on camera, we still have this. Like, George Floyd was on video. And we're still having this.
I mean,
so it's the system. I feel the system needs to be corrected a little bit.
Yeah,
we're both Marines, proud Americans, big sports fan.
Oh yeah.
I got to ask you about Kaepernick, Colin Kaepernick, his protest for what we're talking about today. As a Marine, do you feel he was disrespecting the troops by taking a knee during the national anthem?
I don't.
As an American, do you feel he was disrespecting the flag by taking a knee?
I do not.
Why not?
I don't. I don't because it's not about the flag. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was doing it for injustice and inequality. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not doing that to disrespect the military. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's just doing it at that time because that's his platform and it's gonna gain attention, which is the whole point of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So anybody that sees that, like, look, I'm a Marine through and through, 20 years,
hardcore.
Hardcore. Active duty. Yeah. You know
hardcore.
what I mean? And hardcore.
Been to war and everything.
Been to war and everything. And you know, listen, man. I mean, I just don't. You know, I mean, what happened to him, and for him to be blackballed by the NFL like that, you know, I felt like the NFL turned their back on him. You know what I'm saying?
And now the NFL
now you got Roger Goodell. You got the NFL saying now he hoped teams are. But you know what? But think about it. Think about it. I mean, you're talking about almost 5 years of him being out of the league, man. Mm-hmm. He's not gonna be the same player. Mm-hmm. So now you put, you know, like now that's not even fair to him to ask him to go back out there. He's not gonna be the same player he was.
And you know what's crazy? It's great you said that.
You know what I'm saying?
There was this
because
thing.
now they're gonna put him out there.
And
he's
be like,
he's not going to be as good, and they're going to be like, see, that's why teams weren't picking him up. Mm-hmm. And if I was Colin, I wouldn't even do it.
No.
Don't do it.
Mm-hmm. He's bigger than football to me.
He's bigger
than football to me.
Don't even put yourself in that position for them to even be able to come at you like that. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just no, make your money doing other things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and
you know what I always say. As you know, I'm super proud of my military service. Mm-hmm. And you know, my whole military career, I was gung-ho. Like, even 100%. After uniform, I said, what can I do to help these guys? And I was all over Iraq, Kuwait, and Afghanistan. You name a place in Iraq, I was there. If it was a threat, if it was drama, if our troops were getting killed, I was out there trying to figure out what can I do to help. One of the things that I think hurts the most is the fact that I watched a video when Colin Kaepernick first started his protest, and he said, I've seen men and women who are of color, who come back from war defending America, who get treated like crap. And the media removed that clip completely. And one day I'll find it and I'll send it to you. And they completely dismissed the service of blacks in the military. Even though Colin Kaepernick is saying, yes, black veterans are facing these things. These are people who go and fight for the country, who come back and don't get the same treatment and the same respect. But the media did not highlight that. Instead, they said he's disrespecting veterans to make it about white veterans. And that hurts. That broke my heart.
Wow, I didn't
because so many of us fought together. We are hurt, we are offended, we are broken by the system because we don't come back to the same America.
Right.
But for them to take it and remove our service and hand it over to white veterans and say, well, you offend veterans. No. You want him to feel like he's offended white veterans because black veterans stand with him, because exactly what he's talking about is what we fought for.
That's what we
fought for. We stand for, because we deal with the nastiness of it.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that broke my heart to the point where I'm like, was my service ever appreciated?
Wow, yeah.
Now what do I tell my son if he says, I want to join the military? Do I tell him you'll never be?
But you know what though? But see, I would look at it like this. I understand where you're coming from, but whoever did that interview or whoever did that or whatever, obviously they had an agenda and they know what they were doing. Not everybody looks at it like that. Like not everybody looks at us like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like being black or Hispanic or whatever. Like people, countless times in the airport or whatever, you know, when I was coming back from Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever in uniform and there, you know, thank you for your service, thank you for your service, thank you for, you know what I'm saying? So there's enough thank you for your service out there for me than to, you know, let some old negative, you know, like drama like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because they had an agenda.
But is that thank you for your service sincere when other people, because every time it's Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Military Day, it's, oh, thank you for your service. But when black veterans are screaming like, oh, we're being treated unfairly, everybody's like, oh, we don't want to hear it. Oh, be quiet. There are many, as you know, even after the service, I kept my head in veterans groups all around the world, always trying to do things with it. And one thing that I noticed is that when it comes to issues that affect black veterans, those groups want nothing to do with it.
Right.
Nothing at all. So I'm supposed to share my pain, the pain of other veterans, but when it comes to pain that I got to take home, it's like, oh, whatever, you're black, you're not a veteran. It just,
wow, yeah.
Which brings it to the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those are the things that hurt.
I could see how that, you know, how that could or would make you feel, because you're like, man, I went to Iraq, I went to Afghanistan, like I was out there, like, you know, like in the thick of it, like in danger, like, you know what I'm saying?
The
like
worst times, you know?
Of course. Like, and it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, just, you know, like, and then, and to come back, like, I mean, that's awful, man. But I'm going to tell you, like, you know, I mean, I've gotten a lot, you know, especially being on recruiting too, like, because you're constantly out there in the public in uniform. You know, so people, you know, think, oh my God, thank you so much for your service or whatever, and like buying you free meals and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good people out there that appreciate veterans, you know, no matter what your nationality is. You know what I'm saying? And then you got some that it don't matter what you can do. I mean, you could, you know, you can create the freaking the vaccine right now for COVID.
People are still
and you know what I mean? And be black, you know what I'm saying? Like, you be a black, you know, creator and create it or whatever, and you're gonna have people out there that are racist that's gonna still, nah, this guy, I don't want that vaccine. Like, you know what I mean? You know, and then you're gonna have those that's gonna appreciate it, man.
You know what one of my friends told me, a person I served with told me yesterday or 2 days ago, that another veteran who he served with called them and who's now a police officer, was talking about how much black people are criminals, like they're animals and this and that. And my friend was trying to like counter it, and he was making excuses. And it's like, yo, these are people we served with. Am I an animal? Like, you've known me since I started. Like,
so this guy was...
He was a Marine, now he's a police officer, and he called one of my friends. I guess they have a casual conversation, and I guess Black Lives Matter came up. And it was like, yeah, these black people are animals. They kill each other anyway, this and that. So I'm thinking automatically, these are the people who are policing our streets. Yeah. If you already think these people are animals, chances are you're gonna treat them like animals when you know, have to face them. You know what I'm saying? And as a person that I try my hardest to walk a straight line, brother. My hardest to know, like, a person already assumes that I'm an animal and a criminal is not even safe for me. And this is the person who...
And that's that, right. Yeah. No, I mean, we had about a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago, there was something on social media, like one of my employees, I saw was going back and forth with a former employee, you know, whatever. And now this former employee so they're both in the Army Reserves. Both in the Army Reserves. They're both MPs. The female...
MPs, for those who don't know, is military police.
Yes. So she's Jamaican. She lives out here. And the other guy is Puerto Rican or whatever. And he's still in the Reserves, but now he's a cop up in... I think in the Bronx somewhere or whatever, but like he's like a sheriff, like he's up there or whatever. And they were going back and forth about race, you know, or whatever. And he said something on social media, like he basically came out and was like, "Yeah, I'm racist, but at least I'm open about it."
And this guy's a Puerto Rican,
and he's Puerto Rican, yeah, but he's white. He's a, you know,
he's light,
like very, very, like he's like a very light, you know, very, you know, whatever. And I was just like, wow, I was like, you know, I'm not gonna get into that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get into that or whatever. You know, not when it comes to, you know, whatever. Yeah, and when I saw that, I mean, he was just like, yeah, but at least I'm, you know, open about it. And I was just like, wow, like, don't this guy know, like,
the whole world is watching.
You can get in so much. She could take this thing off of Facebook right now, take it to the military. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's a wrap for you.
And
then or take it to the press, leak it to the press, you know, or whatever, and the police, like, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, to be that open about it, like that's.
So as you know, this is Vet Talk with Hill, and thank you so much for watching. Obviously, we sat down with my man, Gunnery Sergeant Feagin. I keep calling you Sergeant.
That's all right, because when you met me, that's what I was, the sergeant. So it's all good.
So my brother, thank you so much. We covered a whole lot, man. You have to come back and do it again. So
I can't wait, man. I look forward to to the next opportunity to be able to sit down with you. Hopefully,
this is your show. You're welcome here.
And I appreciate it, but hopefully with everything that we talked about today, especially like the stuff on race relations and stuff like that, hopefully the next time we get together, we'll be in a different place, man.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And I definitely think things are gonna move in the right direction. Let's just pray for that. And then, hey, man, and I really enjoyed being here today. I enjoyed it. We went back. You took me back down memory lane. Hopefully, I took you back down memory lane. Like, you know what I mean? And it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun, and it's always good to be in the presence of another veteran, man. And thank you for what you're doing. I mean, this is a great show, and all you other veterans out there, you want to, look this guy up, and if you can, try to get the opportunity to come in here and be a part of this, man, because what he's doing right now is special. He's very passionate about it, and thank you for what you do, man.
No, thank you, my brother.
Thank you, man, because like you said, after you got out, you stayed connected, man.
Yeah, I have to. I feel this is for the rest of my life. I'll always manage to do something with veterans.
Yeah, right. And it means a lot. It means a lot, to other veterans, man, because not a lot of veterans don't have family or whatever, and just to know that you got other veterans out there, like people like yourself, that reaches out, that talks, being active, staying engaged with them or whatever, that means the world, man.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
I appreciate it.